Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, like, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
Cody Rhodes, congratulations on your victory tonight, and, well, welcome back. What is it like to get this victory tonight here at WrestleMania 38 in front of the WWE Universe again?
I don't want to start on a negative because I'm so happy, and everyone kind of kept asking me for expectations. What was it going to feel like? What do you think? And I didn't want to qualify it because I didn't know. I was here 6 years ago or 7 years ago. That was my last WrestleMania as Stardust, and I had a good time, but I knew I was out. I knew I had one foot out, and I did everything I could. I rattled every cage. I tried to change every rule in our entire industry. I tried to do all this, and I had great partners and great people helping me along the way. But I really, truly never thought I would veer back here. And when the time came, hey, do you want to do this? Even though I never thought it would happen, it's the easiest decision I've ever made because I have strayed away from the specter of Dusty Rhodes for 16 years in the business. But the whole reason I got in it is because I wanted to win the big one. You know, what Roman and Brock are fighting over, the big one. I wanted it so bad. I wanted to hand it to him. That was my first dream in the business, and I don't get the chance to do it. But, man, sometimes it's not about what's for him as much as, hey, man, what about me? What about my daughter? What about my wife? But you don't know until you go out there. And I'm with one of the greatest wrestlers on planet Earth. I had his very first dark match here in Kalamazoo. And now he's out there. He's a former king of the world, throne breaker, all this just amazing stuff. And I didn't expect anything. I didn't qualify anything. And now I know what it felt like. And I will cherish it forever because it's a true Texas crowd. They've seen the Von Erichs. They've seen Booker T. They've seen Steve Austin. They've seen The Undertaker. And you don't just get them. You got to earn them. And, man, if anyone has tried to earn them, it's been me for 16 damn just solid years. And to feel them and to connect with them, maybe I'm a slow learner, but I think I'm the best wrestler in the entire world. I really do. But the only way to prove it is be here and beat the best. And that's no disrespect to anybody else. It was time for me to come back and just synergy through the roof to be here and do it.
So Seth Rollins, for weeks after weeks, was trying to negotiate this match here at WrestleMania. And for weeks, the WWE Universe has been speculating that it was going to be you.
Worst kept secret in wrestling.
May I ask, what's your reaction to that support?
I mean, it's the Showcase of Immortals, and at this show, you want to know, but you don't know until it happens. And that's why, for 40-something days, I had to be silent. I was very flattered, really, truly flattered. I came off the last match I had where the crowds were really polarized. A little bit of you suck, a little bit of we like you. I'm great with that. I'm fine as long as they're making noise. But to feel their love, I kept saying it, I kept mouthing it, thank you, because that's what it's all about. Everyone can do the wrestling moves in 2022. Everyone can do everything. But if you can find a connection with the damn audience, with the WWE Universe or pro wrestling fans or sports entertainment fans, whatever the nomenclature is, you've won. And I felt like I got to win tonight. Literally got to win.
Literally.
Yeah. And they just handed me my shirt, and I'm beyond thrilled. They took my advice and they put Pharaoh on it. It's the Undertaker of dogs, man. He's just the best. He's the legit best. So I got one more for my pup. I'm pumped. And I got a 9-month-old daughter who didn't make it. She fell asleep. But I'm going to tell her it was the greatest match ever.
It was amazing. Congratulations and welcome back. Thanks so much.
Very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I know Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 304 of the Hoots podcast. It's Thursday, April 7th, 2022, coming to you live from the Good Brother Studio in lovely Chicago, Illinois. Is yours truly the nefarious brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez. I am back. From Dallas, Texas. Here to talk about what went down this past weekend in Dallas, Texas, and in Arlington, because we have to be technical, I guess, these days. What happened down in Jerry World. I'm glad to be back home. I'm glad to be back in my apartment. Glad to be back in my bed. Glad to be back in my routine, in my comfort zone, and just glad to be back here talking with all of you. First off, I want to give a big shout out to all of you who took the time to like my videos and photos and stuff that I took down there. That was pretty cool. Nice to see that, especially those here on Facebook. I appreciate that. It was a special weekend. It's a weekend I'll never forget. This is definitely up there in the WrestleMania trips I've been to so far. I wouldn't say right now, it's kind of too early to say that this was the best WrestleMania trip that I had. But this trip was really cool to me, and I just want to thank all of you. Like I mentioned in the video I posted Saturday morning, that trips like what I just went through this past weekend are not possible without the support of people like you who support this podcast and stuff like that. I'm not Mr. Money Bags. I don't make that much money. I'm glad to say that I make enough that I could pay for my own apartment and stuff like that, but I'm not rich. I'm not like, this is like DIY home roots, just working, busting my ass and trying to make this stuff possible. And your guys' support for this podcast and my articles are really the reason why I get to experience stuff like this. So I just want to say thank you, because without you guys, I ain't shit in this field. So I just want to say thank you for enjoying the podcast and the articles and stuff like that. Guys make this worthwhile for me, because I put a lot of time into this industry, and I hope it's made a positive impact on you, and it's been worthwhile for your wrestling experience as well. So again, I just want to say thank you. I brought a couple things with me for this live recording of the Good Brothers Q&A session. For those who are listening to the podcast, you can't see this, but I brought a couple things with me. I'll admit I did not go shopping. I wasn't able to obtain any merchandise, unfortunately, at the Superstore Access. I did go to Access. There was a lot of cool shit there. It's an interesting layout how they do that every year. Can't imagine how long it takes to set up all that shit, man. At Convention Center, they're at the Kate Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center. That sucker is huge. I don't know if it's the biggest convention center in the U.S., but that sucker is huge. So I was there for Access, but I did bring a couple things with me that are kind of pretty cool. First one is kind of traditional when you go to a wrestling event. This here is the WrestleMania Cup for WrestleMania 38. I got this on Saturday. I usually, when I went to WrestleManias in the past, I wouldn't want to get one of these because it's more of a business trip. But I was like, why not? This WrestleMania, it's gonna be remembered fondly for a lot of reasons as we look back down the road. And I'm glad to say that I attended this WrestleMania. So this is the WrestleMania Cup here. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. You got, let's see, we scroll around. You see Stone Cold over there, right? Then they got, keep rolling here, Undertaker. And then the last thing I wanted to show here for the podcast, for those who are watching here on Facebook, I'm sorry for those who are listening right now, you can't see this, but I put a picture of this on Twitter maybe later, but here you go, right here. When I went to SmackDown on Friday, they had for us the travel package that bought travel packages at WrestleMania. The concierge that brought us there gave us these note signs for Undertaker, who obviously went into the Hall of Fame this past Friday night. very emotional night, and I was glad to see my favorite wrestler go to the Hall of Fame. But yeah, this is it right here. Maybe you saw me holding it. I was in the back of the ringside area during Undertaker's Hall of Fame speech. It was right there. So thank you, Taker. Put your screenshots right there. So this is literally from Dallas, from American Airlines Center for WrestleMania weekend. So this is gonna be a nice addition to the studio and the podcast in general. This is gonna mean a lot to me because it's just a sentimental night, and I got to see my favorite wrestler go into the Hall of Fame. So again, thank you, Taker. This is the legit thing right here, so it's pretty cool. So WrestleMania is just went down the history books. I'm going to break it down more in depth in the WWE Segment, obviously, but I know you have questions for me as far as what I did and stuff like that, and I'm here to answer those questions for you guys. And we're going to get to that right now, actually. So, let's start off with the good bird, Chris Saletta at XingSaletta24X on Twitter. Chris Saletta is the man. Make sure to follow him there. He's a good dude. He says, "What up, Luke? Here's the question for the Q&A this week. Any restaurants you checked out in Dallas?" Yes. I got to witness Whataburger for the first time. Certainly did not disappoint. On Friday, I went to this steakhouse called Fogo de Chao. It's a Brazilian steakhouse. Mamma mia, that place was absolutely phenomenal. I went so for the WrestleMania nights, as far as what I did for food-wise, stuff like that, Saturday, I went to this place called Texas Live. My dad went down to Dallas area last year with a friend of his, and he told me to go check out this place called Texas Live, which is not that far from the stadium. And it's just like a really cool, like, live event, like sports bar type of, it's kind of like your regular dive bar type place. Or you're like, for example, maybe like a Rocket Brews in Oviedo, like I saw last year during the summer. So I got to see Texas Live. That was really cool. Really good staff. The food there was fantastic. And then Sunday, this little something here. Every WrestleMania trip I've gone to, with the exception of New Orleans, I made it out to make sure that I go to Chili's. For those who don't know, as far as like the more established like sit-in places, that's my favorite one is Chili's. So that's a little something you get to know about Joshie. So every time I've gone out to WrestleMania, like last year in Tampa Bay, I went to Chili's. Or Orlando, same thing. The first WrestleMania trip I took out of Chicago in Santa Clara, it was. I remember it was like yesterday, and I made a pact to myself. It was like, this is my place I'm going to go to. If I go out of town, it's a moment for me to sit by myself and just relax and take in the experience I went to, and just enjoy some really good fucking food, So So Chili's my thing. So I remember like yesterday, it was right after Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 31. And we're in Santa Clara at the time. I think the show ended at like 8:30 or something like that on a Sunday night. And we still got enough time. There was a Chili's across the street from my hotel that I was staying at that weekend. And went there right after the show's over. I took the bus over there, and I was like, man. I was like, you got to think about it this time. Like, it's 2015. I'm about to turn 21 the next month, right? So this is like 7 years ago. And I'm just taking that moment. I covered my first WrestleMania as part of the media in person. I got to see one of the best WrestleManias of all time, and I got to go get some good food after that. So it's like it's one of those moments in life where you know you done something good and you get that chance to take a step back and let it set in. Those are the type of moments that I really enjoy about when I do travel and stuff like that, because you know, a lot of times we get too comfortable in our own environments, and that we don't get a chance to like really take a step back and let things set in. And I really did really appreciate that, and I had a really good time in Dallas. I really did. The weather was fine, nothing too bad or over the top. Definitely not as humid as Florida is, but it was cool. The Uber prices were good too to me. Like, I paid $30 for the airport to get to my hotel. So think about it, Fort Worth, Texas to downtown Dallas for $30. It's a steal. I didn't have to pay that much. And then, you know, going to the convention center from This Is Why to my hotel is like $6. I really didn't have to spend that much on Uber, which I was kind of concerned with, because certain cities are different with what they charge people, and some cities are like just designed weird. I'll say this: the Dallas area, downtown is really like just designed weird. It feels like you're going in constant circles in different intersections. Like, I'm surprised there's not as much car accidents as there is in that city, because especially that downtown area, it's just like a continuous loop of circles and stuff. Like, it gets a little tricky by the Sears Tower in Chicago. I'm not going to cast aspersions. My city is all over the place when it comes to traffic and stuff like that, so don't get me wrong. But Dallas is very oddly designed. I'll say that. So I was staying at the Sheraton Hotel in Dallas. Speaking of food, they had good places there. I forgot the name of the restaurant that I went to on Monday night, but they had some really good food there. It wasn't too expensive either, so that was cool. So it was cool. Like, for those who are interested in going to WrestleMania, especially if it's in cities that are very expensive and you can't buy everything individually, I will recommend for you to get the travel package. This is my first time buying one, and I don't regret it because I had a great time. I think one thing that really stood out to me this weekend is that if I'm going to go to WrestleManias down the road, and I made a promise to myself that I'm going to go to each one until I get hired by the company. But I feel like I got a lot more added motivation this weekend coming out of it than I was going into it. So I thought that was a good thing. It was just like, you know, if I'm going to go to these events, I want to get to the point where I'm getting paid to go down there and cover it and stuff like that and be in the press box, or just, you know, fuck it, just be signing the company and actually do my job there, you know. I put a little picture out on my Instagram page, Instagram / Joshie Lopez 94, where I basically put a little circle around the commentary desk, and it's like, I'm gonna be behind that desk one day, and I'm gonna make it my mission to call a WrestleMania one day. That will happen. That will happen. Let's continue on with the questions here. I know I'll talk a little bit about the trip right here, but I know I got a lot of questions about it, so I just wanted to sprinkle a little bit of it as we're going on here. But do you think anybody else? Here's the next question here. Best match in Mania? Man, it's tied. I say for me, probably the best match that I typed out was Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch, but you can add the Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins match to the list. You can add Edge and AJ Styles as well, but I'll probably go with Bianca and Becky. That by far is the best female women's wrestling match of the year so far. That's not close. Do you think anybody else will be added to Edge's stable? I certainly think so. I think we have to give it some time. I'll tell you this. The dichotomy of where Edge's career is right now is very interesting to me, because when he came in with this very unique presence about him. You don't know what he was, where he came from, why he was there, and then he joins the Brood, and they had this gothic symbol vibes to them and stuff like that. And I've always been a fan of Edge every iteration of his career. And now as he's reaching the twilight of his career, he's kind of getting back to that gothic, dark eeriness to him. And I kind of like it. The fact that Damian Priest is in this group with him, I think it's the best thing that could happen to Damian Priest right now, to be honest with you. And I like the fact he's in there. I can't really forecast right now who on the roster would fit in that group. I guess maybe you can say Finn Balor, but I think it's just too early. I just want this to play out and have it unfold the way it's going to unfold. But I will say that Edge leading a group is interesting, and everything that Edge has done so far since coming back from his injury has been top notch from a storytelling point of view. So I think this group will be in good hands because Edge has credibility and trust, and he's a WWE Hall of Famer, so he knows what he's doing, and I'm curious to see where this faction goes. Thoughts on MVP turning on Lashley and joining Omos? Also, could we see MVP, Trick, and Mellow Hayes together at some point? I liked it. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was interesting that MVP did not go down to the ring with Lashley at WrestleMania, but that's probably by design, So MVP being a talking piece for almost a good thing. I've always wondered if MVP wanted to start his own group and call it the Ballers Club. Like, if you have the Ballers Club, you have MVP, almost Trick Williams, and Carmelo Hayes. I could definitely see that. I could totally see that. So yes, my thoughts on the turn is that it's more beneficial for almost. Lashley does not need MVP. Lashley's a good performer on his own right, but yes, Lashley and him were a great duo on television. I'm not saying they weren't, but MVP doing something beneficial for somebody like Omos who could be limited at times, and if you want this guy to succeed, have him with somebody that actually can help elevate his overall presentation than just how tall he is and stuff like that. So I don't really have an issue with that, to be honest with you. Raquel Gonzalez's potential move to the main roster. Do you think she could be one of the top women in the division on the main roster? I think so. I'll tell you this, she'll definitely do a lot more than Nia Jax ever did. I'll say that right now. Do you think FTR will capture IWGP tag team titles at some point? I think that's up to them. Obviously, they're in a different situation because Dax is a father, and we still got this pandemic going on. So I don't know what it is for him. If he has inspiration to go out to Japan, I don't know if that's the style they want to go out there. It's a different situation. Like, yeah, you can fantasy book different scenarios of who's going to fight who and stuff like that. But I just don't see it becoming a reality anytime soon. Maybe if it's something where they had the IWGP tag team titles defended on a special here in the U.S., maybe. But I say put a pause on that for a little bit. With Cody Rhodes back in the fold in WWE, when do you think is the right time over the next few months to have him officially start the chase to one of the world titles? I'd probably say SummerSlam. I'll get to Cody Rhodes a little later on. I don't want to expand on that too much right now. But I'd probably say SummerSlam or maybe towards the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't say anytime soon, though. That's the thing, though. Remember AJ Styles? He came back, and he didn't came back. He came in and debuted. I know he had right off the gate. He fought Roman Reigns. I was there for that payback match that they had that barn burner. And then they did another one at Extreme Rules the next month. Look, I I'll explain more of my thoughts on Cody Rhodes and what this could mean and stuff like that when we get to that part of the show. But for me, I'm not in the rush to see him go after the world titles right now. I thought the promo we cut on Monday was great, but we'll get to that point later on in the show. So I just don't want to bellyache all of that right now. Christian Adam Cole had a decent match last night with this current Edge character. How better would it have been if Christian remained with WWE and maybe would have been included with the current Edge and Priest pairing? Well, you just took the words out of my mouth, man. I don't know what Christian's getting out of being in AEW outside him just replaying his TNA theme song and being called Christian Cage. Like, look, I love Christian Cage as a performer. He's a great guy, obviously, and stuff like that. He's a good performer. It's a shame that we have to wait 3.5 months to see him have a singles match like that on television. Like, I'm tired of seeing the guy run down to the ring to have these lame-ass afterbirth brawls, which we'll be talking about later on as well. It's like AEW is very repetitive in how they finish their matches and stuff like that and how they get into feuds. And I think Christian would be in a more beneficial state right now if he was in WWE. And nothing, my opinion, hasn't changed on that since he made his debut in AEW. Yes, I get it. He became the Impact World Champion. He beat Kenny Olivier, blah, 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 blah. But has this really been a truly successful run for Christian in AEW? I don't believe so. So, Chris, I want to thank you for the question this week, my man. You killed it as always. I appreciate you, brother. Next question comes from the good brother Mike at Main Event Swerve down in Houston. I was wondering, for the Q&A. So I know Cody Rhodes has world title implications, but we have to give it time. So how do you want his progress to continue in WWE right now? And what do you see WWE doing with him before he gets the title shot? Well, I think there's definitely more of a story that could be told in that with Cody Rhodes. With Seth Rollins, I think there's more layers that you can get into that with those guys, and I don't think they're done yet. So, if anything, I would not be surprised if Cody and Seth Rollins fight each other at Hell in a Cell. I would not be surprised by that. You know, Cody made his intentions clear, and I think everything they've done with him so far has hit what they need to hit as far as what his intentions are and why he's back. But it has to be a little bit more than, I'm just here for the title. And then you're gonna have guys in the roster just gonna toss it aside. At some point they will have to acknowledge the fact that he started AEW and stuff like that, and they'll get to that at some point. But again, like I answered the Chris section, I want to give all my Cody thoughts in one segment. So I don't want to pass over your question, Mike, but I want to save that for the WWE segment because I can tie everything together in one bow. The next question from Mike is, also, what was your favorite WrestleMania moment of all the action you saw on 2 nights, and what was your match of the weekend? Great question, my man. Man, I have a couple. I think my favorite moment that I saw for me was Austin and KO. For those who know me, Kevin Owens is my current favorite WWE superstar, and KO and I share a birthday, so I always be a big fan of Kevin Owens, and that was my first time getting to see Stone Cold Steve Austin perform in person that I can recall, like, seeing it in person. And getting to experience that in person was pretty cool. Like, I got to check that off my bucket list. Like, I've got to see The Rock come back. Like, I always remember one of my favorite things I seen in person was him, John Cena, and The Miz before WrestleMania 27. And that's just one of the coolest environments I've ever been in. And Saturday and Sunday were just special in their own rights. Like, you know, seeing Austin and KO do what they did to main event WrestleMania. Nobody can take away from Kevin Owens now that he main evented WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you ever see anybody on Twitter tell you that WWE is done wrong by Kevin Owens, tell them that they're full of shit, because he, in my opinion, was one of the biggest winners of the weekend, and he didn't even win a match. I couldn't be more happier and more proud for Kevin Owens for the fact that he got to do that against one of his favorite wrestlers of all time and have that moment. And that moment really, really stood out to me. The other one is Triple H coming out to start off night 2. As you guys know, I'm also a big fan of Triple H, so seeing him put his boots down in the ring was a very heavy way to start off the show. Going back to Austin, you know, him coming out to help out Pat McAfee with the stuff with Vince McMahon and Austin Theory, I'm like, shit, man. I marked out. I got excited. I got to experience it really took me to night 2 where I got the glass shatter where everybody marks out type of thing. That building, that stadium nearly blew off with how loud it was when Austin came out after that match with Pat and Austin Theory. I'm not counting the one with the Vince. That was just shenanigans for shenanigan reasons. But that one stands out. Of course, you got to acknowledge the Tribal Chief. I did put up the ones up. It was WrestleMania 38 was a fucking awesome show, and I had a blast. So those are the ones that stand out to me. As far as matches of the weekend, again, there was a lot of great matches this weekend. I haven't had a chance to watch FTR and the Briscoes yet. I know everybody's talking about that from Super Card of Honor. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so please forgive me that I haven't seen it yet. But I think for me, it's either Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair or Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Those are the top 2 that stand out at the top of my head. I mean, I thought the ladder match for NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver was decent. Yeah, those are the ones off the top of my head that I can recall that were pretty good. So, yeah, let's see. Last batch of questions this week comes from the good brother Nate the Great at Second of Gear. What's up, my man? Haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're doing well, my man. What do you think they should do with the NXT Tag Team titles? All right. Well, we'll get to the part of the show where it gets a little uncomfortable. So, if you guys are living under the rock, there's been a lot of conversation in Scuttlebutt about what's been going on with Nash Carter and Kimberly. Nash Carter being one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, for Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion as part of the Rascals. Kimberly, another professional wrestler. They've been engaged. I think they got married too, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess over the last week and a half or so, this really started happening right as I was flying down to Dallas, and I was like, when it comes to these situations, I take it very seriously, especially when they did the whole speak out movement. Like, I didn't scoff at it, or I am never going to be in a position. You're never going to catch me come on here and be like automatically saying, oh, a girl's just looking for attention when it comes to when it comes to like domestic violence or stuff like that. Okay. You're never going to catch me get to that point and be like, oh, this girl's just looking out for clout and attention. Like, this never happened. I'm never going to do that. Also, I'm not going to say something automatically happened off of the accusation is 100% true. I like letting evidence and the true story come out before I open my mouth on situations, because it's a sensitive deal, and I take that issue very seriously. Outside of racism, the thing that pisses me off more in this world and stuff that should never happen is the mistreatment of women. And I don't stand for that shit. I don't think you are a man if you put your hand on a woman. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what sparked that. I just don't have respect for that. And I'm not going to come out here and tell you that Nash Carter is a piece of shit. I don't have enough in front of me to make one point of view from one way to another. I think it's unfortunate for him, especially for him winning the tag titles like that off the bat, a big part of his career, a big weekend like that, and stuff like that happens. But again, this is where we have to separate the business and real life stuff. And for me, I'm not going to come in here and try to play the authority over something that I don't have the overall evidence on. I think that's a flaw of ours as wrestling content creators. We try to act like we're the authority on every topic on wrestling. I'm not going to come in here and insult your intelligence. I'm just not going to do that. I need more evidence, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut because honestly, for me, I think it's more about I don't need to be the authority and the first person to have a take on something when it comes to wrestling. There's people that do that. There's people who do good jobs at that. And then there's those who are clout chasers. I'm not a clout chaser. I stand by what I say. I stand by what I believe in. And I think my words matter. And I'm just not going to come out here and just start lashing out at people and just saying shit without any substance added to it. And that's just me. So I'm sorry if I can't really elaborate more on what's going to happen or what should happen. If the rumors are true about him being released, that's unfortunate. And if it's something where MSK has to be stripped out of the tag team titles, if it was up to me, I would do a little something different than just a regular tournament. I would do kind of similar things to the Super J Cup, where you have a bracket of tag teams, and whoever has the top two seedings, it's kind of like round robin type of way, kind of like the G1. Whoever has the top two seeds, those two will fight each other at the finals. So that's how I would do it. Next question. What match did you enjoy the most? There was a lot. Hell, like the Sami Zayn Johnny Knoxville match, I was crying, laughing the entire time. That was great. Match I enjoyed the most was definitely Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. That's my favorite match of the weekend. So that'd be up there for me. Last question for the Q&A this week from Nate. He says, how was your WrestleMania experience? It was great, man. I think with trips, you always have your pros and cons. I'll admit, I wish there was a little bit more of an opportunity where I could have saw some more of my friends. That kind of bummed me out, but shit happens. I really had a good time. This was a really good weekend for me, just to get out of the city and just like enjoy some wrestling and enjoy my time down there and get to witness the moments and enjoy the WrestleMania like that. And I gotta tell you this, man. I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan, but AT&T Stadium is the coolest fucking place I've ever been to for an event in my entire life. That place is awesome, man. Hell, they even have they have an in-stadium delivery option where you could buy food or drinks or whatever, and they bring it to you. The seats are good. You can find your way out of the building. It's an awesome venue. That was my first time going to AT&T Stadium. Interesting way to walk out of that building and try to find your way to the. So let me break this down really quick. So, I, as part of the travel package, were put in certain areas of the stadium, right? Depending on whatever our tickets were going to be. I was not in control of that. So I was in section Club 110. It's kind of like towards halfway in the middle part of the arena. Maybe you saw me, guys. Maybe you didn't. But I wasn't on the riser seats. I was right behind it. I was literally like where you'd be sitting on the 50-yard line for a football game. I wasn't on the riser seats. So they put us in entry E, was on like the south, like west side of the stadium. And where they dropped us off was there was a Walmart across the street from AT&T Stadium. And I was on the other side of that. So let's see. Right here for the right let's say this is my right hand. Yeah, my right hand side here, this is Brock Lesnar Rubber Aids on the signage, right? So right here is Brock Lesnar Rubber Aids. This side over here is where you see Stone Cold and Charlotte and Kevin Owens. So that's that side here. And I was going to do a loop around. This sucker is huge, man. It really looks like a planet ship. I've never been to this building before. I've seen it. I've heard about it. That sucker is huge. To navigate around it was very interesting, but I loved it. I had a good time. Hall of Fame, definitely one of my favorite parts of the weekend for me, just to have that moment Undertaker, the great Hall of Fame speech. I'm going to have this with me for a very long time. I'm never getting rid of this. A permanent part of my studio now. So I'm glad that I have this. So thank you, Taker, for everything you've done. See Taker come out, that was really cool to see that. Shout out to Chad Gaspar's widow and his son. The very sentimental moment during the Hall of Fame, so I thought that was really cool. What else? Just the whole weekend of it was awesome. I'll give my other shout outs in the match when I get to the WWE. So all day, I had a really good time. First off, I want to give a shout out to my guy, Rob Aurelius from ARCG Media, who I got to, one of the few people I did get a chance to go see in person and hang out with. Rob was really good to me, and I really appreciate the kind words he shared to me in person. We got to hang out at WrestleCon a little bit, and we just shooting the shit at the bar, and it was cool to hang out with Rob. I also went with Rob to Access on Saturday morning before WrestleMania, and we got to call a match at the commentary session that they had for the Access. So that was pretty cool. Me and him called John Cena versus The Rock for WrestleMania 28, so I got to do that. I got to check out Access, man. It's pretty cool. If you've never been to Access before, you should. It's really, really cool. They have a lot of great merchandise. They have a lot of great memorabilia. You guys know the AEW show they did, the Most Wanted Treasures, stuff like that. I got to see that. I took a picture of the Undertaker gear that he shared in that show. It's in my photos on Facebook for those who are watching it on here. So that was a very fun time at Access. I wanted to give a shout out to Rob, so it was really nice to see him. It was great to see my friend Lisa Marie Verone. Like, she recognized me. Like, she just came up and gave me a hug. So that was pretty cool. I want to give a shout out to those who came up to me and said, hey, they recognized me from the trashes and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, it was cool to see my guys Andrew Bandala and Blake Mitchmore. Wish I could have hanged out with them more, but it was cool. The only sucky part of the trip for me was just that I wish I had more people to hang out with, and it's just that balancing act of, you're on a trip, but you also got to do your work as well. If any of the sucky part of it, it's just that part of it, but I had a really good time. I really did. It was worth the money that I spent on the travel package, and I don't regret it. This WrestleMania is going to be very special for me to look back on as the years go on, and I'm glad I went. So it was fantastic. I want to thank Nate, Chris, and Mike for setting some awesome questions this week. As always, if you want to participate in the Good Birds Q&A session, all you have to do is send me an email to the hootspodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up at Josh Lopez Media, or know you roll and shut your mouth. No, I'm kidding. That's going to conclude our Good Words Q&A session right here. When we come back, I'll give you my thoughts on WrestleMania 38 as a whole, talk about Cody Rhodes, and give you a preview for NXT UK right here on the Hoots Podcast. So, yes, sir. All right, folks, we're back. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. And, boy, did go down in Dallas, Texas, and a lot to recap here on the Hoots Podcast. Before we get started here, I think it'd be remiss without giving a big shout out to the one and only Pat McAfee, who had one of the more star-breaking performances this past weekend in Dallas. This was Pat before WrestleMania Sunday, here for the WWE YouTube channel.
It's really cool. I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep last night. I thought that I'd wake up with high anxiety. That is not the case at all. I am so ready to get out there and do what I was put on this earth to do and beat the living hell out of Austin Theory on the grandest stage of them all, the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. I'm living a fairy tale, man. So I've kicked off a Super Bowl. I've actually attempted a pass in this building. I've been a part of a lot of moments. My wrestling history, though, is that of being in front of 10 to 15 people. I was born in the Thunderdome era. So tonight, whenever I feel that energy, I'm just hoping that I don't have a heart attack immediately. I'm hoping that I don't get too gassed. And I'm hoping I put on a damn good show, because I've been thinking about this for 23 years. 77,899 people going bananas. You know, I've walked out that ramp into this setting probably, 10 million times in my mind. There was a time where every time I walked out of a door, I was acting as if I was walking into a WWE arena. So I want to act as if I know what's coming and know how I'll react, but I have no clue. Just feel it, man. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to take it in. I'm going to try to enjoy it. And every single thing that I feel tonight, I just want to remember forever. And I think that's how I'm viewing it all.
So when I started out the show, I really talked about my trip in Dallas, and got to talk a lot about that. But in this segment here, we're really going to talk about the show for itself. And first off, nobody does production like the WWE. It's not close. I always get this big jolt of energy and motivation professionally whenever I attend a WrestleMania. Just that, not the envy, I'm never jealous. I'm when I'm sitting in AT&T Stadium, think about this. I'm sitting in the biggest stadium in the entire country. I'm looking at this awesome-ass set that they had, and they outdo themselves every year, maybe outside of WrestleMania 35, of course. But nonetheless, my point is, I'm sitting there, right? And you think about it from my point of view, guys. You know me, you know my story, you know the journey I've been on. I'm sitting there, and I'm I see people come in and out the entranceway. I see people come down the ringside. I see the Raw crew switch to the SmackDown crew during matches. And I'm this is what I fucking want to do in my life. This is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I've always wanted as a kid. I wanted to be that. I wanted to have that moment like JR saying, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. The Austin era has begun. I want that energy. I want that energy of calling a match like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25. Or, basking in that energy of you don't know what's going to happen with CM Punk and The Undertaker from WrestleMania 29. I'm just sitting there and I'm basking in this. And then thinking from my point of view, and then you look at a guy like Pat McAfee, who by far, in my opinion, is the best on-air host when it comes to daily sports talk and just entertainment in general right now. For me, personally, I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee's shows. I watch it every day, every week. I know the whole thing. I know the whole gabagool, all of it. You guys know it. You see the lingo on me on Twitter, and we all know the drill. I'm a Pat McAfee mark, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm a Pat McAfee mark. So you hear the passion of me, and you're seeing my eyes from an outside view, just sitting in the stands, looking at this. I couldn't even imagine what this weekend had to be like for him. Like, let's go back to Friday at SmackDown and hear how loud the crowd was for him going into the event. And then Pat comes out with the entrance. It's Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and they got the white stripes in the background. And, you know, watching it in stands and seeing Michael Cole just, like, go up and down, jumping up and down in this excitement, like he's watching his own son perform in the ring. It's just an amazing experience. And to see Pat, you know, have that moment with Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm glad that I got to record that on my phone. So that's a memory that I won't forget. Seeing a Stone Cold stun Pat McAfee with the stunner, that was just awesome. Like, I really thought about it. Like, the two people that I could be more happier for was like Pat McAfee and Kevin Owens this weekend. Both of them received stunners from Stone Cold Steve Austin, but both of them were just ultimate winners. And Pat McAfee, again, showed out in his match with Austin Theory. And Austin Theory deserves his flowers. That guy is going to be a player for WWE for a long time, and we're not even scratching the surface of what he could be. Yes, right now he's being a prick and doing the whole selfie gimmick, but we're not even scratching the surface of what Austin Theory could be down the road. He's not even scratching his legs yet in this field yet, and it's going to be awesome to see, and I'm very excited for his future. For me, just seeing that, watching the shows through Pat's eyes just got me even more motivated. Like, I want to share that moment. Who knows, maybe one day I would get to call a WrestleMania and Pat's next to me. Like, I thought about that while I was sitting there. And I'm like, this dude had an amazing life. Obviously, he got to be a punter in the NFL, and he got to do a lot of great things. But just look at his work ethic and how he's handled his entire career, his life after retiring from the NFL. It's something to be inspired by. And I couldn't be more proud for Pat for what he was able to pull off. It's not easy like that to perform for that many people, not doing this full time. I can't put over Pat enough, man. Like, so big shout out to you, Pat. I just want to get that out of the way. Other stuff that really stood out to me match wise, I thought overall, the match quality for WrestleMania was really good. There's very few matches in between that was just indifferent. Like, I had to handle some business during the women's tag team title match, so I didn't get to watch that. But it was cool that Sasha and Naomi did become the SmackDown Women's Tag Team. They became the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, excuse me. So that was cool. Like, the triple threat match from night 2, the Raw Tag Team title match, I told you guys that was going to be a barn burner, and it was. You know, Riddle doing the springboard RKO counter off the frog splash. I thought that was awesome. And then, you know, they're bringing in Gable Steveson, so it was nice to see him get the rub a little bit for those guys, so that was cool. Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin putting on a good match like I knew they would. I thought that was cool. I thought that match really was good to start setting the tone for the night because fortunately he had the injury with Boogs to kick off the show, and I felt really bad for him. Like, that crowd was rocking with him and Doc Moore when they made the entrance. That was pretty cool to start the show. And then unfortunately had suffered that bad knee injury. Now he's going to have to get surgery. And I hated seeing that for him because he really brings a lot of energy to SmackDown. And I liked what him and Nakamura were doing. I didn't think they were going to win the tag titles, but you never want to see a performer get injured like that. And think about him. This guy's been in NXT for so many years. And for him to have that first opportunity, starting to gain momentum with the audience and stuff like that, this is his first WrestleMania performing in the ring. He's not even like accompanying Nakamura to the ring. Think about that for Boost. Like, I felt really, really bad for him, man, on Saturday. I hated seeing that. That was very unfortunate. But the show started to pick up, and then talk about the Mysterios against Miz and Logan Paul. Again, the Miz is a legend. He's the man. I was very impressed by what I saw from Logan Paul, and I thought that was probably Dominic Mysterio's best performance in the ring. I know a lot of people on Twitter want to knock on him and stuff like that, but from what I see for his trajectory compared to the stuff I see on YouTube every single week, Dominic is going to be just fine. Trust me. So that match was cool. Talked about Bianca and Becky enough. I love the entrances. I thought both of them were pretty cool. Especially Bianca having the HBCU marching band there. I thought that was awesome. Very nice touch. Love seeing that. What else? We'll get to Cody in a couple minutes. Let's talk about some of the other matches that went down. Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. Some people have their opinions. I feel like more people are just trying to hate watch it than actually watching the match itself. When I was transcribing the match came off way better than what it was perceived inside the stadium and online. So I would say congrats to Charlotte for retaining. Happy belated birthday, by the way. Shout out to Charlotte. Very good waterfall. I thought Ronda improved a lot from the last time I saw her in the ring. I thought she did a very good job. Just from my point of view, transcribed the match. I thought the match went a little bit longer than it needed to, but probably the right call to have Charlotte retain her, in my opinion. So that was my thoughts on that. Let's see what else we can talk about here. Was not surprised that Bobby Lashley beat Omos. I thought that was a good decision. Let me see if I got the match order right. This has been a long week for me, so I'm sorry if I forget certain things. By the way, shout out to Jesse James Decker. Speaking of good waterfall, I thought she did a good job on the national anthem too, by the way. So we had Triple H kickoff night 2, like I mentioned. Talk about the Raw Tag Team match. Thank you! Oh, let's get to this. Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. Oh my god. When I tell you this night 2 really started kicking off right here, it was when fucking Party Boy runs into the ring and starts dancing and stripping and shit. I'm like, oh no, what's going on now? Sami Zayn had one of the best performances out of anybody, any promotion that weekend in Dallas. What he did was just fantastic. There's two people I really want to give a shout here, and I know my guy, referee Tony, will appreciate this. It's referee Jason Ayers and Hurricane Shane Helms. Jason was the referee navigating the entire match, and Hurricane was the producer of the match. And this hit every comedic spot you wanted to hit, and this was the quintessential sports entertainment match, and I loved every minute of it. I got a chance to listen back to the commentary version of it, and it was cool that I was glad that Pat and Cole were able to call that, so I thought that was really cool. The Wee Man spot, I'm not kidding you. When Wee Man body slammed Sami Zayn, you thought you were back in the fucking Pontiac Silverdome. I'm not lying. It was that insane how loud that pop was for him. It was fantastic. It was everything it needed to be from a comedy match. I can't give it enough flowers of how fantastic that match was. If you're uptight, or if you're that fucking schmuck Dave Meltzer who says, "Oh, I was embarrassed by this," oh yeah, but you're probably jizzing your pants over fucking Mimosa Mayhem. Go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. Jesus Christ, that was fantastic. By the way, Edge, for me, my favorite entrance that I saw this weekend was Edge. You guys know me. My favorite colors are black and purple. All that Undertaker stuff, that's my thing right there. So seeing that was just absolutely awesome, dude. So, with that being said, Edge and AJ Styles, I thought this was a fantastic match. The crowd started picking up towards the backhand of the match. I don't know. I wouldn't say people were not interested. It was a different style pace of match, and maybe people are not adjusted to this character that Edge did, so maybe they weren't knowing when they were supposed to react to certain things. But I thought him and AJ had a very good match, and I liked what's going on with him and Damian Priest. So I didn't really have a problem with that match. I saw some people like, "Oh, Edge and AJ Styles was a disappointment." I wouldn't say so. I was in the stadium and they were chanting, "This is awesome," towards the end of the match. So, people are going to have their own opinions, and that's fine. To each his own. But I thought Edge and AJ had a very, very good match at WrestleMania. From there, we go to New Day and Jason Ridge Holland. Have no comment on that. There's not much to really talk about. I talked about the Pat McAfee stuff. That was cool. Same thing with Austin and McAfee. Let's play a little audio here from Stone Cold and Pat McAfee.
McAfee for his boys.
Fantastic shit, man. And then we wrap it up with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar being the ever-loving tar of each other for 12 minutes. Roman Reigns won. I know a lot of people were expecting The Rock, so maybe they felt that night 2 ended with a bummer because it was just Roman Reigns retaining. But the whole story of there was to end that chapter of that rivalry. And I think they did that. And I don't know what's next for Brock Lesnar, but if this was the end and this is how Brock wants to go out, you gotta say there, Brock Lesnar did amazing stuff there. But there were some really good interviews that ESPN did with WWE Superstars over the weekend with Joe Tessitore and stuff like that. I saw that on the YouTube channel, and I watched the one that Joe did with Roman Reigns this morning. He's a tribal chief, man. He really is. He's the tribal chief. He's the last needle mover, and he was acknowledged. It was pretty cool. Like I could say that I was in attendance for every single Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns WrestleMania match. And a 3-year journey where people are chanting, "This is awesome," and they're not trying to sabotage it and make the match about themselves. It's really something, man. And it's credit to both guys. It's a credit to Paul Heyman. It's a credit to everybody that's told this story. Roman Reigns going over Brock Lesnar clean was the right decision. It was special. It was really, really cool. And I'm very curious to see where they go from there. So overall, good shit from WrestleMania. Now let's get to the Cody Rhodes stuff because that's what everybody's been waiting for. Let's talk about it. I have the video that I recorded. One thing when it comes to this podcast over the years is that I stay true to my word in all that. I think it'd be very hypocritical for me to come out here on this day, on this podcast, and be like, oh my God, I'm a Cody Rhodes mark now because he's in WWE. I don't take back anything that I said about Cody Rhodes in regards to how he was being presented in AEW or how he carried himself. And everything I said about the Jeff Jarrett comparisons, I don't backtrack for that, and I'm still not going to backtrack for that. I like Cody personally as a person, and from what I've seen so far from his return, I've really enjoyed so far. But I just want to make that disclaimer really quick because I know people have been wanting to hear what I had to say about Cody Rhodes since I've been critical about his stuff in AEW. I thought I was justifiably critical of it because it just wasn't good television. Him coming out every week with Arn Anderson with the dumb play sheets, like he's pretending to be Matt Nagy. I just wasn't rocking with that shit. And, you know, having to sit through that Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert segment, its person in Dynamite a couple months ago, that was rough. It wasn't a good night in the office for your boy. But, I just want to make that clear. Like, my stance on everything he did in AEW is not going to change just because he's in WWE now. I do give people a clean slate and let things different. I'm always open to changing my opinions on performers. But again, none of this has ever been personal for me. I don't make things personal with performers. If somebody's a jackass and deserves to be called a jackass, I'll call them a jackass. But I don't intentionally go out of my way to make these personal with performers. If anything, I, more than most people in this field, make sure that I acknowledge and pay respect to the industry more than acting like I'm the smartest person in the room. You know what I mean? And for me, when it comes to Cody Rhodes and everything that's going on with him right now, I think it's cool. And I'm happy for him that he had that moment. Being there to witness that was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie, it was. I got to record that video. I may even put it up on our YouTube channel of Cody Rhodes' entrance. I just thought that was awesome. And I thought him and Seth had a very good match with a good story added to it. Hell, even the match was so good that the Raw commentary team was tolerable to listen to during it. So, again, I'm not going to come on here and tell you that I'm going to be Cody Rhodes' biggest fan. I didn't go out of my way to look at access to go find his merchandise. I didn't do that. Getting to see Cody's entrance on Raw again was really cool. I loved the promo. I got to watch this conversation on the bump yesterday. I thought that was good as well. So far, so good. And I can understand the concerns people have because people always think that everything WWE does is wrong, and I can understand that to a certain extent. But for me, everything all-encompassing with Cody Rhodes from what I saw, and to answer everybody's questions that I got earlier in the Q&A, look, right now, it's gravy for him. I think at some point, they will have to address the elephant in the room of where he was and where he came from. But there's something I heard on a podcast a few months ago. They're like, how would you present Cody Rhodes if he came back to WWE? And the guy was like, oh, I would talk about how I was held back and talk about all the stuff about booking and stuff like that. I'm like, the day we start implementing talk about booking and how you're treated booking-wise on a television show is really the day where we need to start being worried about the future of the industry because, it's bad enough that kayfabe is dead, but now you want to talk about how you were booked in a promotion. I don't know where you get that stuff from. I just really don't. So, I want to wrap it up with all this with this. It was cool to see Cody back, and I think in a lot of ways as this moves forward, we'll probably realize that WWE is more in his element than it was in AEW. And I said that before the promotion started, that something was going to happen with the EVPs, and this is why you don't put the boys in the boardroom. And we'll see what happens from here. But you're not gonna expect me to come on here and mark out for the guy every single week. I wanted to succeed, and I think he's going to do some good stuff. I think we'll probably realize that WWE is just a better environment for his presentation of what he wants to do more than what he was doing in AEW. So we'll see what happens from there. But all in all, I thought collectively WrestleMania 38 was a fantastic experience, a fantastic show, and everybody from the company should be receiving their flowers this weekend. It was a fantastic time, and I was glad that I got to witness all that in person. So, with that being said, let's get into our preview for NXT UK today. Big time matches today. We got Wolfgang against Charlie Dempsey. That's going to be awesome. We got a battle of former teammates. We got Wild Boar against Primate. That should be good. And then how about this? Ilya Dragunov against Roderick Strong for the NXT UK Championship. That is going to be a barn burner. So, that, folks, that is what happened this week in WWE right here on the Hoots Podcast. Folks, it's time to give the people what they want, what they've been waiting for, what you really need. Another brand new restaurant quality edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. We're going to start this off with the one and only Sir Dericho via satellite again this week. Let's hear what Bert Carter has to say. It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, and it starts in a 3, 2, 1.
Beat your meat, 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 beat your meat.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
What the hell is wrong with AEW? Well, I took a week off from watching AEW content, getting prepped for WrestleMania, had a lot of stuff going on last week. Thought maybe a week off kind of cleanse the palate, kind of reset my thoughts about AEW and come at it with a fresh set of eyes. It was not with a fresh set of eyes. Oh, God. This was another quite awful episode of AEW Dynamite. Were some good things, though. There were some actually really good things, but a lot of really bad things as well. So let's get into it as we do each week. All right, let's start with let's start with the good things, the things that I enjoyed. Good match with Adam Cole and Christian Cage to open the show. It started off a bit slow, but then it finally got going and finally picked up near the end. Ended up being really good, and I actually quite enjoyed it. And I have to say, I enjoyed the post-match promo from Adam Page. He's getting better in the mic every week, and he just got right in Cole's face, kind of slapped him around, kind of bullied the bully a little bit, which I really like. So, good stuff from the opening segment. I enjoyed that. Samoa Joe versus Max Caster went exactly how it should have. Great squash match. It was fine. And always great to see Samoa Joe back. I've always thought he was one of the best in the world. I thought he should be a main event star in WWE. I don't know how WWE passed on him. That one I cannot figure out. Joe's been amazing for years. But, you know what, this is business, and you just never understand with business sometimes. But great to see Samoa Joe back. I think if used properly, he could do great things for AEW. But notice how I said used properly, and that's just not going to happen. MJF is great on commentary. However, he is making the other three look like the absolute clowns that they are, meaning JR, Schiavone, and Excalibur. They're not a good commentary team. MJF outshines them in every way, shape, and form. So, while I like seeing MJF, not a good look for your commentary team. Good promo from Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz. The only problem is he basically said he's willing to scar the Jericho Appreciation Society's families for life. So, apparently that's where we are now in pro wrestling, is that where you're willing to commit crimes and scar your opponent's families for life. So just keep that in mind. But overall, good promo. I like the potential, and I'm intrigued by the potential of a Julia Hart heel turn. I think she could join House of Black. Maybe she had her mind warped with the paint, kind of like what they did with Alexa Bliss. So I think that could be kind of cool. It freshens it up a little bit, gets her away from the Varsity Blondes where she's basically not doing anything. So I'm intrigued. It was cool to see the ROH ring announcer. I thought that was kind of cool. And then a really, and I can't believe I'm saying this about a Young Bucks match, but really good tag team match to end the show. FTR versus the Young Bucks was excellent for the most part. If the Young Bucks can do more of that and actually wrestle, I might actually want to see them. I actually wouldn't mind seeing them. Also, my God, FTR might be the best tag team in the world. They were absolutely fantastic. Obviously great in the ring. But they're starting to, play off their characters a little bit and let loose a little bit, kind of poking fun at the Young Bucks, throwing their jackets at them, making fun of them with their whole kissing on the cheek thing. I thought that was great. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a terrific way to end a completely lackluster show. So, now it's got out of the way, let's get into the crap, and boy, was there a lot of crap. As I mentioned, there was a good match between Cage and Cole, but of course we get a post-match brawl. And then Page comes out, does his promo, fine. Why do we have to have some more deathmatch bullshit for the world title on a live Rampage? This company can't really help themselves. They don't want to be a professional wrestling company despite what they say. They want to have Texas deathmatch garbage bullshit where they could potentially kill each other and end their careers way earlier than they need to for some pop on a show that nobody's going to watch. Makes total sense, pal. Hey. Samoa Joe looks sunburned. I don't know if you noticed that. He must have really been enjoying his time off after appearing at ROH. Went and got some sun. Fine. This wasn't Max Caster's best rap. I've said that the Acclaimed is growing on me a little bit. But of course, Caster went after NXT and WWE making a comment about ratings because that really matters. Once again, this company just can't help themselves. That seems to be the theme of this week's show. This company can't help themselves because they just can't help getting in their own way. All right. So Wardlow comes in and basically destroys all of AEW security, meaning that basically security is inept. So that essentially means that anybody can run into the ring and do anything they want because apparently the security is useless to stop them. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a great look for your security team. What the hell was that Hook video package? He hasn't been on AEW Dynamite in God knows how long, and I don't watch Rampage, so why the hell would I care about Hook? I've heard rumors on the internet, but that's it. Like, why on earth would I care about him? That was a random-ass video package. It was terrible. Speaking of terrible, I did not like that Jade Cargill promo. She was just rude and pissed off for no reason. Like, it was too much. It was way over the top with her just being pissed off and, being a bully. Like, I didn't like it. And I like Jade Cargill. Like, I think she has all the potential in the world. Like, really, really, really do. Probably the best female talent they've got, except maybe Thunder Rosa. Speaking of which, why was the AEW Women's Champion not on Dynamite this week? Like, they had a short little mini promo with that, maybe a little something with Nyla Rose, but again, you don't have your champion on television. Like, it makes no sense to me. Hi, and now we get to the tables match. A tables match between Matt and Jeff Hardy versus the Butcher and the Blade. It was slow, it was boring, and it was a complete waste of time. The Hardys looked disheveled, beat up, slow, and hurt, but they just continued to do all this tag match stuff to try to relive the glory days and relive the Attitude Era days and try to pander to this very, very small internet fan base that exists with this company. And they're going to end up doing something that's going to hurt themselves and whatever. I hated this. I hated every bit of this. It was boring. It was slow. I didn't care. And then we get to the actual match themselves. We're just throwing each other through tables for no reason. AEW has officially ruined tables because they're not special anymore. They just threw everybody through 10 tables just for the sake of it. And they'll do that on a random-ass television show. So now tables don't matter anymore. That used to be what the crowd popped for, but now they're going to get them every week. And they're just not special anymore because that's what this stupid freaking company does. I really hate AEW. I really do. It's just awful. Okay, so then Hardy gets eliminated, even though he's through a table, but the table didn't break, so that counted as elimination Fine. So they put the Blade through the table, but he stays at ringside because it's a no disqualification match, but Hardy left. Like, why would you do that? Like, if this is obviously a no DQ match, and then so Hardy jumps up and then swantons Butcher through the table to end the match. I mean, there's absolutely no logic to this. They're hurting themselves for no reason, and they're ruining tables. They're not special anymore. It's just so sad to see what's happened to the Hardys. They're absolute shells of themselves now. They're slow, and they can barely move. They're just trying to relive the glory days, and it's just embarrassing. AEW is clearly where careers go to die, and we're witnessing that with the Hardys. And, of course, now Sting gets involved. And I'm sorry, Shivani needs to shut the hell up with this, "It's Sting!" crap. We get it. You all want to be WCW from the 90s. It's not going to happen. It's over. TNA tried it. It failed. Impact tried it. It failed. AEW is trying it, and it's going to fail. Watch and see. You just watch. Jungle Express just proved that rankings don't matter. They're challenging unranked opponents and giving them a title shot. And if the Red Dragon can probably win, and I think it would be hilarious if Red Dragon won the AEW Tag Team Championship next week, because it would really prove that rankings don't matter, even though this company claims that they do. We have an incredibly awkward backstage interview with Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Sloppy match with Hikaru Shida and Julia Hart, and an awkward encounter with Serena Deeb at the end. None of that was good. Of course, we get another backstage brawl with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland and Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, because once again, this company can't help themselves. They have to have backstage brawls. And finally, as I mentioned, it was a good main event, but God, Rick Knox is freaking useless. He almost ruined it for me. Blatant interference in front of him, and he doesn't notice. But he randomly does something right with getting the 3 count and then waving it off. This will probably set up another match between FTR and the Bucks, which is fine, but Rick Knox is a completely incompetent referee. All of the referees in AEW are completely incompetent, and they continue to get more and more incompetent every week. This was a terrible show from top to bottom with some good, well, I won't say terrible. It was better than the last Dynamite I watched, I'll say that, which isn't saying much, but a couple of good matches, but the storylines make no sense. The old guys who try to relive their WCW and Attitude Era days are just sad and pathetic and embarrassing, and they need to go away, just like this company needs to go away. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Thank you, Buttercup. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Dericho, for your submission this week. As always, I appreciate my man. What is wrong? What the hell is wrong with AEW? AKA, what isn't wrong with AEW? Well, there's a lot. There is. When will we ever get to the time where we tell everybody what is right about AEW? I wonder that sometimes. Will we ever get a day where we won't need a what the hell's wrong with AEW? I don't know. You'll just have to wait and see. Okay. So, I guess let's start off with positives too, as we usually do here for this segment. I enjoyed Adam Cole and Chris Cage. I thought the match was fine. I thought there's aspects of the FTR and Young Bucks match that I liked as well. I liked one of the first piece of audio we're gonna play here. Actually, is from Dynamite last night. Is Eddie Kingston's promo directed towards the Jericho Appreciation Society. Just average slouches. Let's hear what Eddie Kingston has to say.
Chris Jericho, you two-faced coward! Yo, did you see my man start running? Did you see my man run? Jericho, his association on site. You know what that means? You can be with your wife and your kids. I'm attacking you. The other two morons, Big Daddy or whatever their names are, you can be with your wife and kids. I'm gonna try to get you. Garcia! My man, I know where you live. You think I won't show up at your house, dog? So keep running. On sight. Look at him. The Jericho Bitch Society strikes again. Damn scrubs. Y'all must know. This is what we do. Y'all better bring the hardest fight to these dogs, because this is what we do. Hey, Christopher, when you decide to grow a pair and stop running, how about you come see us in Louisiana next week and we have ourselves a good old-fashioned six-man? Or not. Either way, on sight, Christopher, on sight. Yo, my dude, we're gonna be in New Orleans, God, and we're gonna beat your ass like Junkyard Dog and Butch Reed style, bitch.
Junkyard Dog and Butch Reed. I know that to pop my guy John the Hood. Oh, yes. Before you know, we're going to bring back the Texas coal mine on the pole match. Shit. What other hits from the 80s we can bring back for stipulation matches? I thought that was fantastic. I guess we should start off with the crack, because I'll just be honest with you guys. Like, these past 5 weeks or so, coming out of Revolution, I just feel like the show's on, I wouldn't say on autopilot, it's just stuck on concrete. Like, I go through this routine week in and week out. Oh, here comes Adam Cole. Oh, I know what's going to happen next. We're going to have a post-match brawl with Red Dragon and the Jungle Express, and Hangman Page is going to come out and cut a promo. And look, I'm a fan of Hangman Page, but you guys going to tell me that this has been a good AEW World title run so far? If anybody wants to personify what a transitional champion is, it's this dude. And it's not close. So they announced that they're having Adam Cole against Hangman Page at Battle of the Belts for the AEW World title. Fine. No problem. No, actually they're doing it on Rampage. Sorry. I'm mistaken. Give me a break. So, cool. They're going to do Cole and Rampage because Tony Khan is getting heat on Twitter because Rampage can't get past 500,000 viewers a week. Oh, yeah. So, like, I heard TK this week on Busted Open just pumping out his chest like, oh, I'm going to get back to my ruthless roots. I'm going to do this and start really sparking things up, and we're going to have pay-per-view quality cards and stuff like that. Hey, you can do a lot of things, but I'm still watching your show and it's still ass. It doesn't matter if it's on Wednesday. It doesn't matter if it's on Friday. It doesn't matter if it's Monday and Tuesday with your measly episodes of Dark and Elevation that I have to sit through every week. Oh, what's the main event this week for Dark Elevation? Big Show against Austin Green. Who? Who? Oh, man. How about this for AEW Dark this past week? Dark Order members 5 and 10 against Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto. Like, how many times do I have to sit through a factory match as the main event? It's rough, man. It's rough, man. Speaking of rough, Max Caster's wannabe freestyle rap this week didn't hit his home as much as you thought, my man. Beating WWE's third brand in ratings is not really something to pump your chest out about. Let me just say that out of the way. Samoa Joe in AEW is fine. He got his reaction. That was cool and all. really don't have much to say onto that. The whole stuff with Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt after that, I just thought that was fake and forced. Did not resonate with me one bit. So that was what it was. Kind of surprised nothing on CM Punk, not even like a backstage interview or something like that. So maybe he's just off doing something else. We found out that on Rampage this week we have Bryan Danielson against Trent Beretta and Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. There's something that AEW tell you, but they won't admit it. They like to use the Wrestling Observer and good wrestling matches as to tell you why they are the top promotion in wrestling. They like to use Twitter clout and wrestling Twitter as to gauge as to why they think they are the number one promotion in wrestling today. There's tropes, there's marketing ploys you can apply on your programming, and then there is what we see on television each week. Yeah, we can see great wrestling matches from every promotion. There's great wrestling matches on Impact Wrestling. Guess what? That show barely averages 100,000 viewers on Access TV. Great wrestling matches is not going to make you go where you want to go as a promotion. I'm sorry to break everybody's hearts here, but having a pro wrestling show just solely based on good wrestling matches is not going to get you where you want to go. And I'm sorry. Bryan Danielson against Trent Beretta? Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic match. Who the fuck am I supposed to cheer? Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. I already saw this match. Twice, maybe 3 times. Delaying whenever Wheeler Yuta jumps towards this Blackpool gimmick. Name is Fernan Burnham with William Regal and company. Like, it does nothing for me. I had to wait to Eddie Kingston and Santana Ortiz to get like some like real like grown man shit on this program that's rated TV 14, and I was told this is the edgy promotion. Ugh, boy. Shawn Spears against Shawn Dean. Didn't give a shit. MJF was great on commentary. Wardlow lays out security guards. Doesn't matter if it's AEW or WWE. All security guards in professional wrestling, using air quotes there, are completely useless. I don't know why they are trying to convince us that we should see Hook and Dan Clownson in a match. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way in hell I would ever suspend my disbelief of Hook fighting Dan Clownson. No shot. Jade Cargill, she is ultimately Waterfall is not even a benefit for her. Like I feel like I'm underselling how hot that girl is by just saying Waterfall. But Hardy Boys against Butcher and the Blade. Tables match. So please tell me how many more no DQ type stipulation matches we could do with Jeff Hardy before it becomes a rudderless point where people start just becoming indifferent to it. So you've already had a Texas Tornado match. You had a Falls Count Anywhere match. And now we're having the tables match. So we need Jeff Hardy again for the second time in 3 weeks, jump off a ladder or jump off something very high to put the Butcher and the Blade through tables. And this convoluted ass rules. They can't have a competent tag match where there's no DQ or not if their life dependent on it. You always have to add these extra layers. Like, oh, now instead of getting out of the ring in 5 seconds after being tagged out, you have 10 seconds now. And in this tag team tables match, you have to be eliminated via a physical maneuver through the table. And it's an elimination match, yet if you're eliminated, you can still eliminate somebody else. Like, it's bad enough that I'm trying to comprehend your fucking dumbass logic with your tag team matches and how these matches are structured backstage. But to have this dumb stipulation added onto it, where Jeff was already eliminated but he puts Blade through the table with the Swanson bomb. Yeah, that's a victory for the Hardy Boys. Like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I guess there it is. Thunder Rose against Thunder Rose at Battle of the Belts. Don't care. That'd be what it is. That'd probably be a no DQ match too, though, like AEW at this point. Hikaru Shida and Julia Hart was what it was. Nice to see Julia Hart on my screen. Don't care about T Taz against Keith Lee and Sir Scott. I've already seen it for the last month. Tony Storm and JD Hayter, I think we'll have a good match. So that's what it is there. And then FTR and the Young Bucks. Thought the right team won, obviously. There's a good match. There's good parts in this match. I agree with what Bert Carr said about Rick Knox, but that's just me saying the obvious. I think, who knows, maybe COVID would be over by the time AEW has a fucking competent officiating crew. Who knows? Anyways, I'm glad that FTR retained. I thought it was a good match. So I do give credit where credit's due with the Young Bucks, but all in all, I thought this Dynamite was, again, paint by numbers. It's not going anywhere. It's repetitive in its formatting. It's just there. The commentary is still ass. The officiating is still ass. The tag team matches there are still ass. And again, it's just like I'm watching a show that doesn't have an identity, brings in a bunch of people to appeal to dirt sheet blog boys, and it's just there. So that, folks, right there is what the hell's wrong with AEW this week. All right, folks. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week. As always, I want to say thank you for all the good thoughts and the support you gave to me while I was down in Dallas for WrestleMania weekend. Really meant a lot to me. You can follow me on Twitter if you like, at Josh Lopez Media, at Joshie Lopez 94, at Instagram, at Josh Lopez Music as well. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com as well. I can say I'm fully updated of the articles that I owed you guys since going down there in Dallas, Texas. And, yeah, so make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. And also don't forget, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back here next week. Talk more professional wrestling here on the Hoots Podcast. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Right now, I'm going to send it off to Bert Carter for an extensive edition of the Thoughts of Dericho, a lengthy one this week. And we'll be back here next week here on the Hoots Podcast for episode 305. So the road to 500 continues. 195 more to go, pal. All right, folks. For Brother Carter, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 304 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll talk to y'all next week. I love y'all. Peace.
And now, the Thoughts of Dericho. Listen well, man.
Welcome, one and all, to the segment that is still buzzing after an amazing weekend of wrestling. It is the Thoughts of Dericho, featuring the one, the only, Brother Carter. Man, I'm still buzzing after a great weekend of wrestling action. It was just so much fun to get to watch WrestleMania, see a lot. Well, not see live, but like to see WrestleMania back in its true form. 77,000 people, both nights of WrestleMania. That was just great. The energy was awesome. The matches were awesome. I just enjoyed every bit of it. So I'm going to talk about that here in the Thoughts of Dericho this week. I do want to begin by discussing probably the biggest news story of the week, which just happened recently. NXT Tag Team Champion Nash Carter of MSK has been released by WWE after his wife, Kimberly, has accused him of domestic violence and posted pictures of him on her Twitter page saying that, she was abused. And there's also pictures of him, imitating Adolf Hitler. And it's just kind of a really, really nasty situation right now. And unfortunately, I don't think WWE had a choice. They had to release Nash Carter as a result of this. They just can't have that type of thing going on in their company right now. Now, if it ends up being false, they can hire him right back, and Kimberly will be officially done in every way, shape, or form. Obviously, this is a really difficult situation. I certainly don't think that anybody would post about that if it wasn't true, because that's pretty dangerous, steep territory to be going down. So, obviously, this is just a tough situation. I don't think WWE had a choice here. I don't know what this means for MSK. I don't know what this means for. I don't know what this means for Wes Lee. We'll just have to see. But again, obviously, this terrible situation. I wish the best for everybody involved, and we'll see how this plays out. But really sad and unfortunate stuff, especially since MSK once again got back on top of the NXT Tag Team Mountain. It's really sad stuff. We'll keep you posted on everything that happens there. But all right, let's get into some happier stuff. Let's get into WrestleMania. Let's talk a little bit about Stand and Deliver. I really enjoyed the Stand and Deliver pay-per-view. I had a chance to watch it. First time I've had a chance to watch an NXT pay-per-view. Well, an NXT 2.0 pay-per-view, and really an NXT pay-per-view in a long time. So really good stuff here. I really enjoyed the show. Let's talk about it here a little bit. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai reuniting, defeating Toxic Attraction to win the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. I think this is okay. I always thought Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai could have been a more of an individual act, but this was still a fun match to open the show. Kind of sad that Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez lost the titles on NXT this past Tuesday, but we'll see what happens with that. But a good match to open the show, and I enjoyed that. NXT ladder matches never disappoint, and this one here at Stand and Deliver was no exception. Great to see Cameron Grimes finally get to the top of the mountain, get to be the NXT North American champion. The few times I've gotten to see Cameron Grimes, I thought he was fantastic. So great for Cameron Grimes, really happy for him. And this was just a great ladder match. I really enjoyed that overall. Tony D'Angelo getting the win over Tommaso Ciampa. This appears to be the end of Tommaso Ciampa in NXT. Triple H coming out and giving him a hug, and that was really cool. That was great. And it looks like Ciampa wasn't expecting that. And that looked like a really cool moment between two guys that really respect each other. That was very cool. Don't know what the future holds for Tommaso Ciampa. I hope it's either on the main roster. I've heard rumors about a new stable with Edge. That would be very cool. Or if he goes backstage and just becomes a producer, that'd be great too. But either way, Tommaso Ciampa has been an NXT pillar from the beginning, and that was a really cool moment with him and Triple H. I really enjoyed that. As I mentioned, MSK won the tag team titles against Imperium and the Creed brothers. This was a great match. I mean, I love MSK, have for a long time. It's just really sad to see what happened with Nash Carter. So we'll just have to see how that all plays out. But this was a good match, and you can't take away from what the performers did at that moment. I gotta tell you, I'm really, really impressed with Mandy Rose and how she's been able to resurrect her career, reinvent herself. And she has been killing it in the NXT women's division. She held off her title against Cora Jade, Kaylee Ray, and Io Shirai. Mandy Rose has, completely reinvented herself. Great for her career. If she ever makes it back to the main roster, she's going to be even better than she was before. I'm digging what Mandy Rose is doing in NXT. I hope she can keep it up because she's been doing some really good stuff. So great match from all four ladies. I really enjoyed that. Gunther defeats LA Knight. I got to tell you, Gunther has lost a lot of weight, man, and he's really training and getting in what appears to be excellent shape. So good for him for that. We'll see what happens. I've heard he's going to head to the main roster pretty soon too. Which I think would be great. I've always been a big fan of Gunther. I wish they'd go back to the old, the orchestral version of the Symphony No. 9 by Dvorak, though. And the crowd singing along with that, I thought that was really cool. But anyways, good match with Gunther and LA Knight. And then, in what I thought was a shocking moment, Dolph Ziggler defeated Braun Breaker to retain the NXT Championship. This was a good match. Obviously, we got the payoff on Raw, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But this was a great match, too. Braun Breaker is... I can see why WWE is pushing him. Braun Breaker he's a stud. No doubt about it. He can go. He's got a great look. He's got everything about him I'm totally digging. So congratulations on a great match to close the show, and what I thought was a great show top to bottom with NXT Stand and Deliver. All right, let's talk about WrestleMania real quick, and what a great event this was. The nostalgia I was feeling and just the goosebumps I was feeling reminded me why I was a wrestling fan. I mean, this was awesome. This was a wonderful show, and both nights. I thought night one was a little better than night two, but overall, I really enjoyed this. So let's talk about this real quick. The Usos defeat Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs to retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Sad for Rick Boogs, man. I mean, that just sucks. I love Rick Boogs. I think he's hilarious. He's honestly one of my favorite parts about the show each week. And to see this injury is really sad. And I hope he gets better soon. I hope the surgery goes well. That just sucks. To have your big WrestleMania, finally get your first major WrestleMania and then get injured on the show. Just so sad. But I love Rick Boogs. I don't know what this means for Shinsuke Nakamura. I've said before, hopefully this means he can go back to singles competition and start kicking ass, competing for world championships, because I think he could be, him versus Roman Reigns could be incredible. But hope that he gets better really, really soon. Drew McIntyre defeats Happy Corbin. This match was fine. Nothing really special about it. McIntyre cutting the ropes was interesting. It means he's, willing to commit murder. Fine. Also doesn't apparently care about the rest of the show, because I'm just going to destroy the ropes. Props to the ring crew for getting new ropes set up real quick. That was really good. But, this match was fine. It was good. Get it over with. And now Drew McIntyre can start to challenge for world championships again as well. And then I think Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss can have a nice feud, especially since Madcap Moss just won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Miz and Logan Paul defeat Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. This was good as well. I think the Miz turning on Logan Paul, I don't know if it was designed to make Logan Paul a face or Miz a face. I think the intention was to make Logan Paul a face, but I don't know if that worked, because Miz, I don't know. I don't know if that worked. So we'll find out as the storylines progress, but obviously I think Miz is going to keep being a heel, but I don't know if that actually got Logan Paul as a face. We'll have to see. But this was a good match. Logan Paul did really well for a celebrity. And I know he's done some MMA and some boxing, and it's fine. But not everybody makes the transition to WWE well, and Logan Paul did. So good job for Logan Paul. He held his own. Bianca Belair defeats Becky Lynch to win the Raw Women's Championship. Another fantastic match. No doubt they're positioning Bianca Belair to become... and I've said this many times, Bianca Belair is in position to become top face in the company. She's going to be head of the women's division for many, many, many years, and relatively so. She's fantastic. And this was a nice match with her and Becky Lynch. Not sure what this means for Big Time Bex, but she'll get involved with something. They'll probably have a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash. Fine. And then we can move on. But this was great. Bianca Belair is a star. If you just look up the word superstar in the dictionary, you'll see Bianca Belair's picture, because she's just incredible. Okay, now we get to my favorite moment of the weekend. And I think for a lot of people, this was their favorite moment of the weekend, and rightfully so. This was awesome. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, makes his return to WWE, defeats Seth freaking Rollins. The rumors were true, ended up being Cody. This was... WWE could not have done this better. WWE could not have got this more right. They allowed him to keep the American Nightmare gimmick. They allowed him to... Well, fortunately, he owns the rights to his theme music, so that was really cool. They recreated his entrance from from AEW, because that's what people know him as. That pop when he came up, I've watched that entrance probably 20 times, and I still get goosebumps every time. This was incredible. Cody Rhodes left WWE because he didn't like what was happening with Stardust, and rightfully so. I would have left WWE too. Goes, reinvents himself, makes himself a bigger star than anyone could have possibly thought. Comes back to WWE where he's always wanted to be. Gets his opportunity to have the run that he never got. This was awesome. The entrance was awesome. You can tell he's there for the right reasons, not only with the entrance, with the post-match interview, with his promo on Raw. Like, Cody Rhodes is there for the interviews he's had over the weekend with Inside the Ropes and others. there is no doubt Cody Rhodes wants to be in WWE. This is his moment. This is his time. I think he's going to be the one that defeats Roman Reigns. He should be the one that defeats Roman Reigns because there's really nobody else left. I think it needs to be Cody Rhodes that defeats Roman Reigns and takes the Universal Championship off of him. This was awesome. I loved it. Favorite moment of the weekend. Bravo to everybody. WWE got this right. This was awesome. Charlotte Flair defeats Ronda Rousey to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. There was a controversy at the ending, so obviously we'll get another match at WrestleMania Backlash. I thought this was great. Ronda Rousey just moves so fluidly. It was the two best female performers in the world right now going at it. Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. This was great. I loved every bit of it. I love Charlotte Flair. I love Ronda Rousey. This was great. And I'm not going to complain about another match. Stone Cold Steve Austin, in the final segment of WrestleMania Saturday, accepts the no-holds-barred challenge from KO. I couldn't believe Stone Cold actually wrestled, and he actually looked good. Stone Cold looked good. I was like, wow. And it was his final match. Fine. By the way, Kevin Owens made Steve Austin look like $1 million. WWE is all in on Kevin Owens. For everyone that's saying, oh, he should have went to AEW to play, to have his talents better utilized. Oh, really? So he could have played third fiddle to the Elite and been featured on television once every month. Instead, he stays in WWE, is featured on television every week, got the main event of WrestleMania with a legend, with some people consider him the greatest superstar of all time, and made him look like $1 million. But yeah, he should have went to AEW. Give me a break. This was great. Austin looked great. Kevin Owens played his part perfectly. This was awesome. And night one was awesome. All right. And now let's get into night 2 here of WrestleMania. We open with Triple H formally retiring. He mentioned it on Stephen A's World on ESPN that he was getting out of the game. He's officially done, left his boots in the ring, welcomed everyone to WrestleMania. Triple H is done. This was a great way to open the show. I think Triple H should be the Hall of Fame headliner for 2023. I think he's deserved it. And we'll get to Hall of Fame in my closing thoughts. But this was very, very, very cool. Props to Triple H, the greatest heel of all time. And really looking forward to seeing what happens with him next. Just staying in the executive role. But yeah, I definitely think he needs to be the headliner of 2023 for the Hall of Fame. RK Bro defeats Alpha Academy and Street Profits. This was awesome. This was an awesome tag match from 3 outstanding teams. I was surprised to see RK Bro get the win. I thought that Orton would have turned, but I guess not. I guess we're going to keep this going for a while. But no complaints there. All 3 teams were awesome, did their job. This was absolutely terrific. I enjoyed every bit of this. Props to all 3 teams on a great match. This was great. Not sure what happens with Alpha Academy and the Street Profits going forward. We'll have to see. I hope this means this eventually leads to Montez Ford going off on his own because he is a superstar. No doubt about it. He's the star of that team. I mean, listen, I like Angelo Dawkins too. Don't get me wrong. I think there's potential for him as well. But Montez Ford, my God, he's a star. And maybe they can go off their own and do their own, have their own great singles careers like The Shield did. But anyways, this was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Bobby Lashley defeats Omos. This match was fine. Nothing crazy. I wasn't super thrilled about it. It was what it was. It's fine. We'll get to the fallout of that here in just a minute with Raw, but this was kind of interesting. I thought this match was fine. Nothing really special. It was fine. No problems there. Okay. I usually don't like these stupid kind of garbage match things. This one I didn't mind. I thought it went a little bit long. Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. I thought it went a little bit long. But overall, I thought this was hilarious. Johnny Knoxville, they did, in the Jackass crew, they did their Jackass thing. If you don't know what Jackass is, you probably thought this was stupid. I know what Jackass is. I know what they do. And some of the comedy stuff was funny. I will say, when they brought out the mousetrap table, I got a little nervous. I was like, this is this kind of crap we complain about with AEW. So why are we doing this, potentially risking his career? But it looks like they were booby mouse traps and didn't really go off, which was good. But yeah, the bowling ball spot to the nuts, that was funny. The hand was funny. Somebody joked that Mae Young and Mark Henry's kid finally made their WWE debut, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, this was supposed to be just comedy, fun stuff. I think it ran a little long. Wee Man slamming Sami Zayn was pretty cool. So this was fine. Once again, Sami Zayn is proving he's worth his weight in gold, and WWE trusts him completely to do whatever they need him to do. So I thought this was fine. Again, I thought it ran a little bit long, but overall, good stuff from both competitors. Johnny Knoxville, another one that has made the crossover quite well, so good for him. All right, Sasha Banks and Naomi win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Honestly, this is fine. It gives overrated Banks something to do and get her out of the main event picture where she doesn't need to be. I still want to see Naomi join the Bloodline. And now I'm hearing that Rhea Ripley may end up joining Edge's stable, which could be kind of cool. But yeah, I thought this was good. This was good action. I definitely needed to see something fresh. Again, I hope that Shayna Baszler goes off on her own, and we'll see more of that hopefully on SmackDown this week. But Shayna Baszler needs to go off on her own. I think Liv Morgan can go off on her own. Rhea Ripley could be a part of Edge's stable. That could be cool. Carmella will be out for a while, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the women's tag team division and just the women's division in general on both shows going forward. But congratulations to overrated Banks and Naomi. They have something to do now. Great. Edge defeats AJ Styles after a distraction by Damian Priest. This was interesting. This was interesting because it gives Damian Priest something to do, which, fine. I mean, I love Damian Priest. I think he's an absolute stud. He's an absolute superstar. No doubt about it. This was a good match. I've said that I've enjoyed the new Edge. I think the new Edge is great. I don't mind this Damian Priest in the new stable with Edge. I think this could be kind of cool, actually. And again, it gives him something to do. It's new. It's fresh. Could elevate Damian Priest to new heights. But this was a good match. I knew this was going to be a great match because both competitors were absolutely terrific. And yeah, I thought this was great, top to bottom. So good effort by everybody. And I'm very curious to see what they do with Damian Priest going forward. Sheamus and Ridge Holland defeat Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. This match, they didn't get to it on Saturday. It was what it was. It was just fine. Kind of gives them all something to do on the Mania card. I will say, though, you've got this on the main card, but you couldn't get Ricochet or Finn Balor defending their titles on WrestleMania. I don't understand this one. I don't understand putting this match on the main card, but not having Ricochet or Finn Balor defending their titles on the show. That makes no sense to me, especially with what they've been doing with Ricochet and Finn Balor recently. I don't understand that booking decision at all, but that's just me. Dude, Pat McAfee is the shit. God, he is awesome. I love Pat McAfee. He came in, he threw down in the ring. This was awesome. He can go. Like, he had a great match with Austin Theory. He's very athletic. He sells well. Pat McAfee is a superstar. And I'd be okay with Pat McAfee winning a title. I really would. He could easily be a mid-card champion, and it would be fine. He loves the business. He's great with the business. He can wrestle. He can commentate. Pat McAfee is a superstar. Austin Theory did a great job as well. This was a really great match. And then Mr. McMahon got in the ring. Like, holy cow. Holy cow. I was not expecting that. And it wasn't like an actual match, but God, for a 78-year-old man, Vince McMahon looks okay. Comes in, obviously him and Austin Theory beat down Pat McAfee. Vince McMahon gets the win. Austin comes out. I wasn't even thinking about Austin when the glass hit, but that was awesome. The glass hit, crowd goes nuts. Austin comes out, saves him, gives Vince McMahon the worst stunner ever. But that wasn't the point. The point of that was just to get one more stunner on Vince, which was fine. And then give a stunner to Austin Theory, who sold it well. He oversold it, but that was the point. Pat McAfee sold it well. That was hilarious. All of this was great. Love Pat McAfee. I now get what WWE sees in Austin Theory. And this was just terrific. So, great job to everybody involved with this. That was awesome. And then finally, Roman Reigns, in no surprise, defeats Brock Lesnar to become the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. My only problem with this was that it went exactly how every other Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match was supposed to go. I mean, good athleticism, but we've seen this story play out several times. And the end just felt kind of flat for me. And this, no knock to Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns. They've had the best storyline for the last 6 months. But the problem was, and I knew this might be a problem, is what else can you do with this? Like, you knew Roman Reigns was going to get the win. You knew Brock Lesnar was going away for a while. This went exactly how it should have. It just kind of felt flat for me. Like, there was no reason for me to tune in to see what Roman Reigns is going to do next. So, that's the reason why I think Cody Rhodes needs to be the one that takes the title off of him after a while, because he's fresh, he's new. That would be an incredible match, an incredible feud. So, but this match was fine. I don't really have any complaints about it. We've seen it several times before. And, it just didn't give me a reason to tune in to see what the Tribal Chief was going to do next. But those are my thoughts on WrestleMania weekend. What an amazing weekend it was. So great. It just reminded me why we're a wrestling fan going forward. I've been talking for a long time, so I'll just say just a couple things about Raw. Great promo from Cody Rhodes, as we saw. Elias is back as Ezekiel, which I'm kind of intrigued by. A complete shift in the gimmick and the character. I don't know what Ezekiel is going to be, but he's going to work a program with Kevin Owens, and we know Kevin Owens can do a lot of great things. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm kind of intrigued by that, but we'll have to see what happens with all of that. But I'm intrigued. You know, it's new, it's fresh, it's different, and we'll see what happens. Veer Mahan finally makes his debut, and I'm thinking Shanky, Veer, Mahan, Meek. That's all I was thinking throughout the whole time during this debut was the Roman Reigns theme with what we did on Universal Chanter. Shanky, Veer, Mahan. Ah, gosh. I'm tired. Can you tell? But no, this was fine. Finally got to see Veer. That was great. Now I know why Dolph Ziggler dropped the title on it, or won the title on Stand and Deliver, because Braun Breaker got his moment in front of a live crowd on Raw to win back the NXT Championship, which I thought was cool. Great moment for them. MVP turned on Bobby Lashley and now is going to be siding with Omos, which I actually like. It's Omos needs a mouthpiece. He needs something, and putting him with MVP actually makes sense. Bobby Lashley does not need MVP anymore. This could be a way to reunite the Hurt Business, get Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin with the new MVP and Omos. That could be cool. And Bobby Lashley off on his own. I think that would be fine. Let's see. Carmella and Corey Graves made out fine. Austin Theory, it looks like he's going to be going for the U.S. Championship with Finn Balor. Fine. And then just your normal stuff to end the show. So, great weekend of wrestling action, and what was reminded me why I was a wrestling fan. And I'm sorry for talking for a long time. We had a lot to cover. And those are the thoughts of Dericho this week. My final thought is Mark Calloway needs to be a motivational speaker or a preacher or something. Not only was that the greatest WWE Hall of Fame speech of all time, it was a great speech in general, a great motivational speech in general. It motivated me to be a better person, motivated me to get my life in check and to keep being the leader that I want to be going forward. Mark Calloway needs to be a motivational speaker. Congratulations to The Undertaker, the greatest performer and the greatest character, well, not the greatest performer, the greatest character of all time, bar none. Very, very, very cool.
This has been the Thoughts of Dericho. You're smarter now, man.